My name is Liz Couto. I'll tell you a bit more about myself and why I'm chatting about remote hackathons today. So about me, so I have over 12 years experience in marketing, started in advertising. Currently, I'm a product marketing manager at Unity, but previously I've been about Shopify and Twitter. And then a lot of my work, especially in the developer marketing world, is about conceptualizing and creating developer marketing programs to help attract new developers, help them discover products, become successful, and really move throughout that life cycle. So one of those programs that I've worked on that I'm super excited to chat with you about is hackathons. And why hackathons? Why do I like them so much? Why do I want to chat with all of you about them? Well, it's because I believe that when they're done really well, I think they can be really exciting, inspiring, and a very supportive way to onboard new developers to your program, API, or platform. So some background, I'm obviously enthused about them, but I know a lot of other folks don't feel the same way. Hackathons actually can have a bad reputation. I know personally, when I've tried to pitch hackathons to my teams, I've gotten some pushback of, oh, they seem cheesy. Are they really worth it? Is it just a way to squeeze developers and programmers? As one great excerpt I grabbed from Alicia Liu, who's an engineer and a tech writer. I'll just paraphrase some of what she said of, oh, corporate sponsored hackathons are an all win for the sponsoring company. They get a big influx of fresh ideas and developers working themselves to illness to just meet a crazy deadline. So yeah, you can see, they're just thought of, oh, corporations really win for them. They get talent, and do developers really get value? Well, I think if they're done well, it can serve the company, but really, I think it could be really about developers and about the people participating. So for me, I'm someone who's obviously seen hackathons. Back in university, I participated in one. But my first real look, when I got to see one from, I guess, behind the curtains, was in 2016. So I mentioned my professional background. I actually used to be at Twitter. I was in the Canadian office. I probably should have mentioned at the beginning of this. I'm based in Toronto, Ontario, in Canada. So being a part of a regional Twitter team, when the broader global team was running initiatives, I got to see how they were rolled out globally. Or at a local level, I should say. So I can't take any credit whatsoever for this hackathon, but I did get to see behind the scene and support the team when they were rolling out in Toronto and hosting local events around it. And what really struck me at this time, because keep in mind, this is 2016, the excerpt I shared with you is people hating hackathons in 2013. I think Twitter did a really, really great job of kind of reframing it and differentiating this as, hey, this is not another gross hackathon where we're going to lock you in the room for a weekend, give you Red Bull, and make you give us ideas for a t-shirt and a tiny cash prize. What really differentiated this, which I thought was great, was that they reframed the hackathon as a collaborative challenge. It was even called the Twitter Ads Hackathon. It was called the Twitter API Challenge. It was a really good challenge. They wanted everyone to come together around this really exciting thing that could be solved as a community with partners. They also gave their partners and developers several weeks to explore a solution. I know a lot of us that participate in hackathons have had the really fast, even if it's a more progressive hackathon or different program challenge, a short period of time. This time they actually gave enough time to recruit people, let people really think and explore the solution. And when you have more time too, it's going to be naturally inclusive to more people with time restrictions or calendar. And then also, no physical presence required. They did have regional restrictions. They did run programs at a local level. As I mentioned, they did a promotion in Toronto where I'm based, but you could really be from all over the place. So if you have constraints that keep you from being in a room physically typing somewhere, that's okay. You can still participate. So that was a really great learning for me. Learned that, really admired the program, moved on my career to Shopify, but kind of kept those insights in mind and kept chugging, kept growing, kept doing good developer programs. And it wasn't until March 2020 I had to look back and start reevaluating things. As a lot of you know, and I know we're all in different parts of the world today, so we're all affected differently and at different times with the global pandemic. But being in Canada and at Shopify, we were playing in-person events. We had a big in-person conference, and our roadmap got completely flipped on its head. So we were like, what can we do now? Our developers, how do we engage them? How do we kind of keep as much normal? How do we reframe this? How do we, keep the ship going? And really looking at, for me, could we actually somehow find a way, instead of just, we were trying our best to support developers, support our whole community, but can we go further and empower people in this challenging time? Instead of, you're at home, this sucks, like, what can we do to really further, not just help, but help them feel like part of the solution and like they're help getting the world back on track again? So given that situation, remote, we're all fully remote at my company, most of the world was, and also these key learnings that I lived through about hackathons, for us, it really felt like an opportunity to onboard new developers. Can we do a remote hackathon? Can we do these best practices? And invite not just our current community, but developers all over the world to join our version, which we called it our Shopify App Challenge, Commerce and COVID, and really put it out there to the community. So for us, we did a community-based challenge all about our partners. It was 4 weeks long, and it was purely online. We had an online landing page, support webinars, and we got some really great reception. As I mentioned, some hackathons were not being viewed well, but we mostly got great response. So what I'm sharing on screen here is from a publication very, very well known in my part of the world called Beta Kit. So we featured in Beta Kit is huge, and they even wrote a whole press article. We got organic pickup saying Shopify challenges partners to build an app that helps entrepreneurs during COVID-19. So instead of that rah build for us, I love how they had that word partnership, how we were challenging our partners to really help. And I love Shopify aims to the challenge aims to empower the Shopify developer community and focus your creativity and technical efforts on critical problem areas. So great response. It went really, really well. We got so many apps submitted. We had developers create apps that would eventually end up on the Shopify App Store. We asked for an MVP because it was just 4 weeks, and creating a whole new app and a whole new business in 4 weeks is nutty. But we have so many apps, and this is a small sample I shared here out of apps that are on our Shopify App Store that came out of this app challenge, who are now thriving businesses on their own. So really successful. We had some really great learnings from this. We saw, even we surveyed participants after, that coming together to build something for merchants affected by COVID-19 was a top motivation. For us, we gave support. We had the very classic, stereotypical hackathon cash prize pool that we were giving out for winners. But people, more than getting cash prizes, more than looking for something to occupy themselves with, really liked feeling empowered to help people. And we also surprisingly found out that participants were even more motivated by the opportunity to work more closely with the company than the cash prize. We thought, cash prize would be number one reason or second reason, because it's not just the big, yes, it's a prize pool, people like winning money, but for us, we also wanted to have a cash prize because, developers' time is super, super valuable. We don't want to make them feel like we're draining them for ideas. Yes, we're giving them a mission, a support, but we wanted to make sure that we recognize their value and we were paying that forward to them. And then, I think the cash prize is certainly appreciated by those who got it, but they also just really wanted to work closely with us and to have a mission. And they also just really appreciate the guidance and thought starters we provide, which is another great learning too. Instead of saying, oh, COVID-19, it's crazy, or I've seen a lot of hackathons where it's like, we want to do X. Instead of throwing them in, we gave them a little thought starters. We kind of gave them that warm start. We shared as much data as we could of, this is what we're seeing. Instead of just let your creativity run wild, we found that, some people did let their creativity run wild and go their own way, but a lot of people appreciate the fact that we gave them a little bit of kindling for the fire, something to chew on to get started with as they would to tackle this challenge. So that was what went really well. Some of the things that did not go so well for us was that was not global, which really we did not love. The Shopify app developer community is all over the world. We do a lot on the platform to reach developers all over the globe. But because we had that cash prize, because we thought the cash prize was so crucial for being a proper hackathon, for recognizing developers' time and efforts, because of contesting law, which I'm not the right person to talk about that. Someone else can tell you how intricate that is, how much it varies from country and even within countries, from province to province, state to state. We had to do a lot of restrictions, restricted to just 6 of our many countries, and even within then, certain states and provinces. And one really interesting thing, when once again we're talking to our community, which is global, we're differing perceptions around cash prizes. We thought our prize pool was great, but keep in mind, $1 USD in some parts of the world does not go as far as other parts of the world. So paying a developer $1,000 USD in one part of the world means very different than in some parts of the world. So that value perception was not equal. And then we also saw that more time was needed, especially for the late joiners. 4 weeks we got feedback on was not enough. And a lot of people, people are distracted with the remote hackathon. There's not billboards, there's not those physical things. We need to get their attention online when attention is very divided and all over the place right now. People joined late, and there wasn't a great way for them to get up to speed quickly when they joined halfway through. So with this in mind, we had great successes. We knew we wanted to do this program again. We wanted to make it more inclusive for 2021. And the more inclusive really was that global. We hated that we had to do this to just 6 countries. How could we do this all over the world and really truly invite more developers, more talent to get involved? So if you're going to run a remote and globally inclusive experience, to make it happen all over the world, 3 key things I'd really encourage everyone to consider. 1, seek out non-cash incentives like mentorship and marketing support. As I mentioned, people really like the opportunity to work closer with us. And that's something that has more of a flat perception. It's not how a dollar is perceived differently in different parts of the world. Mentorship can be very invaluable, and also marketing support. A lot of developers struggle with marketing and getting their solutions out there. So that's a soft way that you can really help them. Another thing, just give ample time and design experiences that are flexible for those with challenging schedules. We all know we have different commitments. COVID really shook things up. Things happened. People got sick, had to help other folks. So when you have the more flexibility and ways to help people whose schedules get interrupted, that really helps keep them on track and engaged in your program, when you give them an easy way to get re-involved. And then also offer multiple info and support channels that can be accessed around the clock. Different parts of the world don't have the same bandwidth for internet, which really restricts certain communication mediums. Some communication mediums and social networks are not involved and are not just available in some part of the world. So really, however you run your hackathon remote challenge, make sure to have a variety of channels. So just a quick what we did with all this knowledge. I think the site is still live, the 2021 Shopify App Challenge. This is something that my team designed, where we got rid of the cash prize and made it all about, we will give you marketing support and more mentorship throughout. So we went with the softer incentives. We made it an 8-week challenge. We had this beautiful graphic where we actually really guide through. So that's back to that, where do people start? What do they do? We gave them some more info, resources, so that if someone started late, they could quickly even just get a sense of, oh, shoot, I'm starting halfway through. Where should I be by now? And we did get that feedback from people participating that they had to take breaks. Things happen, life happens. But having this really clear 8-week structure really helped them jump in a lot quicker and get up to speed and not feel like they had to drop out of the hackathon. Community channels, as I said, we leveraged a lot. Email is such a great, generally global one that works really well. It's one of those evils we can't avoid. For us, we leveraged Twitter a lot just because Twitter is so public, and it also gave us an opportunity to amplify participants. We have a lot of followers on the Shopify devs Twitter, so we were able to amplify them and their efforts. And for us, we leveraged Discord for office hours. And I will give one hot tip before I wrap up this talk is one great learning we learned, a small one, is some of you are saying, oh my gosh, I want to serve folks all over the globe, but my team's only in one time zone. I can't be up 24 hours a day. So we made it clear we only had one office hour where we were live, but we had, hey, go in the office hour channel, leave questions whenever you want. And we would kind of use like the green light when we were there, the stop red light when we were gone. But we were finding when we had the stop red light, people kind of perceived it as the channel was closed, and they weren't leaving us their questions after hours, because when we were awake, we could answer your questions, but they just weren't leaving them. But we did a small little thing and changed our status from that stop emoji to the sleeping emoji. People just understood, oh, this is a channel. Someone is here. Someone's, in the station looking at it. They're just sleeping right now. So I'm going to leave them the comment my question while they're sleeping. And I think it also added a nice humanity. So just one small subtle thing, but when we found that we showed that we were sleeping, not that we were closing our office hours, people received that well, and we were able to get questions from all hours that we were able to answer when we were awake. So one last thing, there's so much more to inclusivity. This was a kind of a rapid fire talk. That was some like those global considerations, but definitely some best practices. Make sure that all of your landing pages follow accessibility principles. You really test. I'm sure there's so many speakers, probably even speaking or talking resources to make sure that it really is inclusive for people that have visual impairments, color blindness of all sorts, and that everything's keyboard reader accessible. Also showcase diverse mentors and participants too. Make sure that who you're staffing, who you're using as mentors, who's answering questions really reflects the global community you're trying to reach. And when you're conceptualizing, definitely don't just your usual group of folks. Make sure you're talking to a diverse group of folks, have community standards as well, which is just great for safety and making sure you're establishing a really safe space and standards, and everyone knows how to get involved and to participate. And then also check that incentives can reach all countries. As I said, cash is a really hard thing because of contesting laws. Different taxation is a tough one. And if you are doing swag, which can be hard, make sure that you work with a vendor. I won't go into stories around trying to ship swag internationally, but make sure you have a vendor. And that's, I know I'm at time.
Yes.
That is it. Principles. I will be in the speaker chat after if you have any more questions. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have questions, happy to chat after.